Hey guys, we are back for another episode of CW Movie Night, and I am joined tonight by Dean the Dream and Mike the Sith Scale Collector. How you doing tonight, guys?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
doing good,
man.
man.
Cool. Appreciate you guys jumping in. As you can see, Classy Thomas is still out of commission, but we get the odd distorted transmission from him confirming that he's still among the living, and we are thankful for that. but uh, but he's hanging in there. He'll be back at some point. We'll knock out a couple more of his movie picks before we wrap up this show, if that's what we end up doing. But he had a few solid choices, so I hope we can get to those. But yeah, man. Um, Tonight we are going to talk about a movie that just, in my opinion, it just slipped under the wire of the timeline split before everything became garbage.
Yeah.
It just limboed under that thing. It makes me question when the timeline split actually happened, because I think this helps us narrow it down real tight, because it's like between this release and 2013 sometime. But
Yeah.
we'll figure that out. But yeah, man. So we are talking about Dredd from 2012. So I don't know if you got the deck there, Dean. Cool.
Yeah. There we
So
go.
basically, it's I feel like it's kind of wrong to think of this movie as a remake, because it's really just all about the source material, if you ask me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah. I remember when this was coming out. Chris, I was talking about
yep.
this with you before the show. This kind of came out around the time when like all the remakes, it was like the biggest thing. Like, oh, we're redoing whatever the fuck. And I remember this. They were like, oh, we're gonna redo Dread, and I was young and dumb, and I was like, you can't beat Judge Dredd with uh, uh,
Stallone.
Sylvester
Yeah.
Stallone. What are
Yeah.
you talking about? That movie's
And
peak.
Rob Schneider.
Yeah, yeah. Earth Curse Pizza, like, and I love that movie. Still, it's very campy. It's good
Yeah.
for what it is. I do enjoy that movie.
Right.
And so I was so like anti this movie because at the time it was just like you're you know living on the backs of giants. You know what I mean? Like everybody,
Yeah.
everything that came before you, you're just trying to capitalize on it.
Yeah. Little did we know how much worse it would get. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for real, dude.
yeah,
For
it's
real.
still 4 years before Ghostbusters Answer the Call. But yeah, Sam Gist is saying this came out at the same time as the Total Recall remake. That was not very memorable. I
No.
that's a total
That
blank, if you ask me.
that movie is visually really cool. Like in terms
Yeah.
of like the world building. It's like,
Okay.
oh, look how beautiful this is. But that's about it. That movie's dumb as shit.
All I
Yeah.
remember is that it wasn't Mars, and I was annoyed by that. But yeah, man. So like, as you guys probably know, Judge Dredd was created by writer John Wagner and artist Carlos Esquera. First appeared in the second issue of the British weekly anthology comic 2000 AD in 1977, and he didn't get his own book until 1990. But so
Him
it's
and
an old
Star Lord.
character. Yeah, man. It's an old character. I don't know if that's the same Star Lord. I think it's a different Star Lord.
It
But
gotta be.
yeah, but I mean, did you like? I don't know if you knew the character was that old, but like 2000
Yeah.
AD is pretty cool.
He is a British parody of the United States police.
Yeah.
Um
The
but
face of fascism.
yeah, and it's like guys, this kind of makes me love it even more. What are you doing?
Yep.
It's like RoboCop, right? It's like the same
Yep.
thing basically. It's like, stop making it look so cool, guys. That's
yeah,
the point. But
it's like Helldivers. Like
Yeah.
super
Yeah, that's a good pull.
patriotic.
Yeah.
And it's like this is fucking awesome. What are you talking about? Or like Space Marines. It's like this is all too cool. What are you doing? Yeah,
stop
Judge Dredd
it!
is
Stop it
cool.
before I enlist. Yeah.
I have
But
what are they, trade paperbacks where it's like a bunch of
Yeah.
comics in one?
Yep.
yeah.
I have a couple Judge Dredd ones.
Okay. So yeah, like as we were talking about, they got the 95 movie here. You probably, if you haven't seen the movie, you've seen this meme. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I am
So
below.
Yeah. So, and basically, what's funny about it is you can barely understand what he's saying when he says that in the movie. But I don't know, man. Like, this might be a little more faithful to the comic costume design with the He has like these gigantic shoulder pads. Here's a comparison
Yeah,
of
the
the.
pauldrons.
He's got the
Yeah,
big eagle. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
just,
plain. Other
I,
than that.
I just wish he kept the helmet on for most of the
Look at
movie.
that
But
cod
his,
piece, man.
yeah, dude. But his ego wouldn't let him just be the character, which is what I really appreciate about the Carl Urban version.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like there's this narrative in Hollywood that it's like you can't have a space helmet on for the whole show, or movie. But I feel like the Mandalorian kind of like proved that people will totally accept, like, not even a bottom of a face, like a space helmet played by different actors under the suit for the whole series, and still
Yeah.
nobody cared. You
Well,
know,
because
go ahead.
they even did that with the first Iron Man movie. The last battle, he loses the helmet
Yeah.
and it's all Robert Downey Jr. And it's
Yeah.
like, are we gonna do this for every fucking movie that he's in? And they didn't, which is very cool.
Well, they started doing inside the helmet shots to make up for it, I
Right.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And you gotta
But
you gotta think, right? They're paying for the face, right?
correct.
You don't get Sylvester Stallone to not show Sylvester Stallone. Although
Yeah,
you would
but
recognize from his mouth
I think
when
he
he talks and
only
it starts sagging down.
he only wore the helmet for like this scene, I
Yep.
think. And it's like, I don't even think there's moments in the comic where he's like at home, hanging out. He's always
Yeah. To my
dressed
knowledge, I
in
don't know that
his.
he's ever been drawn without the helmet on.
I can't think of an instance, but
Yeah.
I'm not like a faithful reader. You know what I mean?
Same.
Like, I have a few books. I've looked at the art online. I used to like draw him a lot, but yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him without his helmet. If you guys know, let us leave
Yeah.
a comment.
Yeah, well, I'm like I agree. Like I'm familiar, like, from a pulp cultural knowledge perspective about 2000 AD and Judge Dredd, but like I don't have any of that stuff. I would love to check out some of a collection of like the stuff before he got his own book. It's probably very interesting
Yeah,
retrospectively. But yeah, man, we'll get into this movie a little bit. So, like I said, it's not you. It's really wrong to think of it as a remake of the '95. In this one, here's the generally publicly available synopsis. Mega City is a vast, violent metropolis where felons rule the streets. Only the law, the only law lies with cops called judges, who act as judge, jury, and executioner. Dredd, Karl Urban, is one of the city's most feared. One day, Dredd is partnered with Cassandra, Olivia Thirlby, a rookie with powerful psychic abilities. A report of terrible crimes sends Dredd and Cassandra into a dangerous area controlled by Mama, Lena Headey, a drug lord who will stop at nothing to protect her empire. So, that's that immediately distinguishes it from the other movie, but it's just like, I wonder on some level if the structure of this movie was to sort of keep the budget under control,
yeah,
because it's very sort of streamlined and located in one very specific environment, and there's a lot of reuse of the same sets throughout the movie. Like, there's some cool sets, but the characters end up back in the same places quite a bit. But yeah, so that brings us to we'll talk about the critical reception a little bit before we hit the plot. So, Dean, do you have a clip there from our good buddy John,
yeah,
the Everyday Collector?
yeah. Here we go.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I am here to give you the IMDb rating as well as the Rotten Tomato score for Dredd, released in 2012. I'm going to be doing it from the car this time, carpool collecting style. Let's get right to it. Dredd on IMDb got a rating of 7.1 out of 10 with 299,000 reviews. That is a wild number. 80% on the tomato meter with 170 reviews, and the popcorn meter got 72% with, again, over 100,000 reviews. That's been your IMDb rating and Rotten Tomato score. Seems like a lot of people watch this film. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until the next episode, back to you, Chris and Dean, in the studio. All the best.
All right, so weird, right? This
From the
came out in
minivan.
2012. Yeah, yeah, that was John. It wasn't live, but he did record it about half an hour ago because
Awesome.
yeah, but uh, but yeah, man. So look at this. This is a pretty solid score for a movie so recent. What's going on?
Yeah,
It's
like
only
a
12 years.
C plus, B minus kind of.
Yeah, and it's just violent and about drugs. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so what's really going on here, right? So this makes us wonder, like, how close really is this movie to the timeline split, you know? Like,
Oh shit,
like
dude.
like the world was definitely supposed to end in 2012, and that's why all Western media has been shit since then. But it's like this just like I said, this limboed right under. I don't know if there's a movie. I'm struggling to think of a movie I like as much as this that has come out since. There's probably one or two. But it's undeniably cool, and I feel like it is one of those things you wouldn't get today with the same actors in it, you know?
No, you
Yeah.
wouldn't. And Chris, when you think about it, based on the plot summary that you read and having watched the film, if they made this exact movie in the 80s, it would fit right in, right? I mean, this is exactly what they were making in the time
Yeah.
of RoboCop and a Total Recall or even what have you. So it's not surprising that it feels before the timeline split, if you will. So yeah, it makes sense. They made a
Maybe.
movie that should have been made 20, 30 years prior.
Yeah, and what I've seen of the old comics, like the level of like graphic depiction of gore is sort of faithful to the source material. Like, in like I mean it's cartoonish in the comics, but like
Yeah.
from the frames I've seen, like you will see guys getting their head exploded by Judge Dredd on a
Yeah.
regular basis in that comic book. So maybe they sort of like had a due amount of reverence for the source material. So we're getting into spoilers for a 12-year-old movie. But this is a thrill ride. It's not as much about the plot as it is joyous action set pieces, and it's just very pleasant to look at this movie.
Yeah.
So we got a few. So we're gonna look at some screenshots here. So it starts out, and you get this.
Mega City 1.
Yeah, exactly. But it's sort of your view of the city is pretty limited in terms of you have a handful of these CGI vistas, and you see these monolithic apartment complexes where everybody who makes less than $500,000 a year has to live, and who knows what's going on here. They're thoroughly
And
policed.
there was one of these city shots here at the beginning that, if you catch it just the right time, you actually see the Empire State Building
Oh,
in
cool.
the center of the city to kind of give scale for how big these futuristic apartment complexes actually were. And I mean,
Right.
it towers over it.
Yeah, and we see the judge headquarters here with sweet neon sign there, and we get introduced to Karl Urban, Judge Dredd. He's getting geared up, and yeah, I mean I think he's at the beginning he's responding to like he gets a call, and he's chasing down some goons who are doing drugs. Now, what did you guys think about I forget the name of the drug in this, but
Slow-mo.
Slow-mo.
oh wow, right on the nose, huh? But so like if you remember back to this like mid 2000s time period, there was these new cameras hit the scene. They're called like the Phantom Flex, I think. And there was a handful of movies, a lot of horror movies were using this like insane slow motion where you were getting, for the first time, you could get some actual good quality, like 2000 frames a second footage in a movie. Like there was another big one called Antichrist that used this camera a lot. And I feel like it's sort of like, once something new comes on the scene, it gets used for a while, and then it sort of finds its natural place, which is pretty rare usage. But yeah, I don't know. How did you guys like that effect throughout the movie?
Yeah, it was great. Because the drug actually plays a kind of important role in the movie, especially at the end. So establishing it and showing what it does really drives home the punishment at the end of the movie, which is extremely brutal.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
but basically these guys, it does what it says on the tin. It slows down their perception of time, which you'd think might be useful if you're in a gunfight and extreme chase, but it never really works out that way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so these guys get their car flipped pretty quick and get some action-packed shots of Dredd taking them out. And another thing that is sort of an effect staple of the time is like cheaper movies were started using digital like muzzle flashes and like blood splatters, and like I feel like that's the stuff in this movie that doesn't age the best, because like when you see it, it's like you're really just looking at, in some cases, a 2D effect that's like overlaid onto the movie. And like when you're watching it real time, it sort of works, but like when you look at a shot like this, you can really see how like composited everything sort of is. Like it almost looks like all they shot was like this two actors on green screen. You know what I mean? Like you see it's
Yeah,
layered.
And two, Chris, right? So this was filmed, going back to your comment about the cameras, this was filmed in the height of the 3D revolution, right? So everything had to be filmed to be projected in 3D. And I think they actually used some, if not made some of their own, used some of the 3D camera technology for the first time while making this film. So,
Yeah.
not only did it, they have to capture all that slow motion stuff, but they had to do it so that it actually, jumped out at you on screen.
Right, that's a good point, actually. Like if you look up posters for this movie, like 3D is like attached to the name Dread
Yeah.
on most of the posters. Like it was a big selling point. I didn't actually look if it was post converted or not, but we don't like post conversion. If sophisticated people don't like post converted 3D, okay, don't watch Marvel movies in 3D for the most part. But like if they actually shoot it in 3D with side by side mounted cameras, it adds a whole lot of time to the production and cost and delay in takes and all that stuff. So it became this trend to convert stuff in post so they could still upcharge the tickets, but it doesn't take nearly as long to shoot it. And
Yeah, I think
maybe
they talked
go
about
ahead.
the slow-mo scenes were done in post. Mainly because if you look at a lot of those scenes, they're up close, right? So you couldn't have, like you said, a muzzle flash, right in somebody's face and actually film it. So a lot of that slow-mo scenes, from what I understood, was done in post.
Okay. So I guess maybe they used like sort of interpolation techniques where it like the computer generates additional frames between them, like based on the one before it and after it. But you can see what I mean here a little bit. Like, when if you pause and look at some of the effects, they're a little bit wacky. Like this guy's glowing head. But but if you watch it in real time, it's just good fun. But it's I tried to use a little bit of discretion with my screenshotting to not put like horribly graphic things in the slideshow.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Dred's decision in that scene to not only shoot the guy right in the mouth, but also to melt his head off? Right? He
Oh
he
yeah, dude.
chooses a specific ammunition.
Hot shot.
I mean,
Incendiary.
yeah, if your shot's that good, did you really have to, the shot to the mouth wasn't going to kill him. He had to blow his head
Yeah.
off too.
Yeah. And believe it or not, this is one of the less graphic frame grabs from that kill. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
out of focus at least. But yeah. So, after that first call, he goes back to the station and we get introduced to this new rookie who apparently can pick up on criminals' whereabouts with psychic powers just by
Yeah.
holding photos and stuff related to them. So psychic
Well,
powers are real in this universe.
I I think that's supposed to be her and her parents.
Okay. Oh yeah, because they mentioned that they've been gone for a while. I think somewhere in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
think she just reads minds.
yeah, which is a that is what Anderson does in the comics. She's a
Okay.
psychic.
Cool. Well, if you believe UFO whistleblower Luis Elizondo, psychics are real in real life. So their government's hiding them, Dean. I don't know what to tell you, but
Yeah, they do remote viewing in the moon.
yeah.
all the
They're
time.
not hiding. I got one down in the corner of my house. Big sign.
Oh yeah, those guys. Yeah, those guys are grifters. They're not the real ones. But
Oh, right.
yeah. But yeah. So Dredd's obviously apprehensive about getting a new rookie. It's like some cliche police drama stuff. You gotta love it. But he reluctantly takes her out on her first patrol.
Chuck her in the deep end.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all a deep end.
Yeah, and
That was great.
and you get your last few glimpses of sets that are outside of the apartment complex, even though they don't look that different, really. And yeah, so we get introduced to Peachtree, which is it's it's kind of like Cabrini Green from Candyman or something. You know what I mean? It's like it's not where you want to live. Bad stuff happens there.
Yeah, I think they said 80,000 people live in these mega blocks.
Yeah.
It's really cool because Mega City 1 goes all the way from the what's above New York? New Hampshire? It basically like the very top of the East Coast all the way down to like right before Florida. Mega City 1 is huge. It's literally like a third of the country.
Yeah, it's basically like the entire East Coast, right?
Yeah. Because he makes a comment like we could respond to about like
6% or something.
6% of the calls, and it's like, is that 6% of the calls just you, like you two, or
No, it's a region.
all of the Hall of Justice?
Oh, like
Which is-
across the city. Yeah.
Right, which is insane. I mean, if it's every single judge only getting 6%, yeah, you don't want to live in these places.
Well, yeah, it makes you wonder. But with the population level they're implying, even 6% is like an insane amount of actual police visits.
Yeah,
But yeah,
well,
we
it says
get
violent crime specifically.
Sure.
So that's not including someone broke into my car, someone stole my dog, and ate
Yeah.
Or
it
the guy
or
living
whatever.
out on the street that you'll see later.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we get introduced to Mama, our antagonist of the film, awesomely played by Lena Headey, who seems to be like, she's just on the top of the world, man. She did so much good stuff over like a 15-year period. Can't go wrong, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like she's on drugs and having a bath, like as you do in slow motion, and this little wave takes about 15 seconds to raise out of the water. It looks pretty cool.
Bro, the song they play during the slow-mo scenes is so good. It's so like ethereal and like magic. It's like I kind of want to do slow-mo.
Not the message, Dean. Not the message.
They make it too cool. It's not my fault.
Yeah, and she's just overseeing her empire, and I think she's reprimanding some goon who like screwed up or something.
They were selling on their blog, or
Yeah, so
something like that.
You get a first person look at a slow-mo asthma inhaler. It looks greasy. They chuck it off the balcony there. And yeah, so I don't know.
I can see a little chunk of meat there.
Yeah, so some third-rate criminal goons didn't cut the mustard, so they got thrown off the balcony into the middle of the courtyard here, because that's how you deal with people who slip up in Mama's crew. So
It's about sending a message.
Yeah. And there's a good look at it. That's non-graphic. It's zoomed out enough. You can see they just dropped guys off. I don't know if they say how many stories the building is, but they mentioned the 80th floor at one point. So, yeah. So it's bigger than the Empire State Building, and this core in the middle, so everybody gets a little bit of sunlight on the inside.
When you think
about the way these guys die, it's really trippy, right? You take the drug. So your mind is now reacting so much slower for every second. It's so, in your mind, how long are you falling to your death, right? I mean,
not only that,
brutal.
they skin them before.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy.
yeah, I think that's kind of what drives, like I said, what Dredd does, later on in the film,
Mm.
where you're like, oh yeah, like now you're getting a taste of what you did to those poor dudes.
Daffet wants to know, how does one apply to the Mama gang? He wants to work for Lena Headey, I think, and do slow mo all day. But yeah, so this is what sort of precipitates some interest from the judges, and it's just your average violent murder that happens 10,000 times a day, so they might as well test out the rookie on that one. So they get the report of these mulched corpses over in the Peachtree building,
Peachtrees, that's
and
such a cute name for a fucking horrific place to
Right?
live.
well, I mean, if you go in any big city, all the really sketchy apartment buildings got names like that. Like it's just
Yeah.
It's
how it
very
is.
You're
true.
not wrong.
It's just like somebody knew what they were doing. But yeah, so you get a little bit of a taste of the community, and like Mike was mentioning, there's a vagrant, which I didn't notice this when I watched the movie, but he's sitting by the front door here, and he's got a sign that says "Homeless junkie will debase self for credits." I didn't catch the sign when I
I didn't
watched
see
it.
that either. What?
So he's sitting there right in the doorway of the building, and Dredd tells him that he asked the rookie what we should do, or I think maybe this comes later,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yep.
and they decide not to charge him right
Yep.
now, but he says, "Get out of here by the time I come back."
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
prioritize.
yeah, exactly. So he's supposed to be in. I think they say he's supposed to be in jail for like 2 months or something, just for
Mm.
being sitting there, basically like
Just for being
begging. But
homeless. Yeah.
yeah. But so they give him a pass and keep walking in because there's murders. We get a taste of some of Mama's riffraff, and a lot of face tattoo guys, and they're inspecting the mulched corpses. Yeah, and they sort of get a sense of like, oh, they got thrown off like the top level here, and they're trying to ID the corpses. And that traces them back to members of Mama's gang, and you get a little bit of backstory on her, that I think she's a prostitute who was attacked by one of her Johns, and that's why she has this like wild scar on her face now. And she stepped up her business mindset, and started dealing drugs until took over the peach trees basically.
Yeah, she killed her pimp and took over
Okay.
his empire.
Yeah. And I love how they got a map of like what gangs are on what levels. The cops already just like have the whole thing, like they know the whole story.
They know. They're just not doing anything about it.
Yeah, there's just not enough manpower to do something about it.
It doesn't fall in that 6%.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, Daffet's right. They do mention that she bit his wang off. I believe. I believe
Castrated him. Yeah.
they do say that, something like that. Yeah. So I mean, this movie's a fever dream, but you got some more guys doing slow mo, and they decide to raid an apartment where they know some of these gang members are at, and this is a great scene where they boot the door down, and this guy's just sitting on the couch, like stoned out of his mind, like watching the door like fly towards him in slow motion.
It's just like,
Oh.
oh.
Look at that shot, though. Look at the reflection in the eye.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's nice stuff. They got the slow mo smoke, and they just they just get blown away by these like charges on the door. It's just chaos. It's beautiful chaos.
It's so good, though, right? I mean, they leaned into it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this good. This could have been so cheesy and so bad, but they leaned into the over the top cartooniness of some of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it strikes a good balance where you're never like, this is stupid. Like, especially with this guy on the left here, like I feel like I take him seriously as like a depraved goon who's like actually got problems, and like he's his number one goal is survival, and like he will like do what it takes to stay in the game, and like it's I was never like laughing at it like, oh, this guy's so stupid, you know what I mean? Like I never was taken out of the story by like circumstances not seeming realistic, which is saying a lot if you've watched the movie. But yeah, and then we got I'm the Spy himself.
Dude, I did not realize that was who this was for the longest time.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even remember his character's name in Star Wars. I saw that movie once, that third movie once, and I just remember he had some
I
of the worst.
forgot it. Yeah.
Officer Guy McFace, but he doesn't have a British accent in this show, in this movie, so you might not notice him. He's got some weird contacts in, but basically he's like a computer hacker, works for Mama, and once they realize there's a couple of judges snooping around in the building, Mama tries to get him to initiate a lockdown of the building, basically to give them a chance to take out the judges.
It's General Hux.
There it is.
Yeah.
I had to look it up. I was like, it's General something.
Oh god,
fucking shitty movies.
I wonder if this guy, maybe one of the guys in the chat know, is somebody pulled from the comics, because I feel like he had a story, a backstory there that they didn't bother to tell us. But he was
okay.
You know what I mean? Because he had this kind of like the cybernetic eyes or whatever. You know, it looked like his head was kind of cut into. But so I don't know if he was like half computer or something. But he didn't really.
They
use
showed
it
his
to...
backstory.
Did they?
Yeah, Mama gouges out his eyes.
I must have missed that. I don't remember that.
Yeah, yeah. He was just like a normal guy, and Mama like gouged out his eyes, and that's why he's so afraid of her. Is because she like tortured him into submission.
I must have fell asleep.
Yeah.
Well, you're probably
shows it.
You're probably watching it while you were trying to do some actual work and failing at both.
Yeah.
But
I did fail at both.
It's the scene where he lets them into her room. Anderson like reads his mind, and she's like, "He's a victim."
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's later in the movie. Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, he could very well be an existing character. I just like.
Yeah.
I just don't. He might be from the '90s ones, because I don't think computer hacking existed in 1977. But so he wasn't an original character, I don't think. But yeah. So they initiate this lockdown while they've got while the judges have their murder suspect in custody inside the Peachtree. So you get these cool shots of these like massive like fire doors coming down all over the building. And our poor vagrant, who will debase himself for credits, didn't move as he was instructed, and he, for some reason, the doors come down pretty fast, and he didn't move fast enough to get out of the way. And if only he had either been arrested or listened to Dredd, he wouldn't have been smushed like a bug in the door.
Yeah, I love it. Right before that, he warned him again, right? He says, "I told you to leave," and then the doors dropped down right on top of him.
Yeah. On IMDb, that character's name is Clan Techie, so I doubt he's a character.
Actually, no, I disagree. That's exactly what they would have named him in the comics. That is like ripped right from the pages.
Now there is, I think it's like a comic to go along with this movie, and he's in that.
Okay.
It's based on this movie, so.
Oh, Daffat says in his hometown there's a comic shop called Mega City One. That's pretty cool, man.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, so they all these big doors come down. The sunlight gets blocked out. They can't even get airlifted out, and Mama gets on the PA and basically tells all the gangs to she put a bounty on them, like she'll pay the gang whoever kills them or something like that.
Yeah.
So
we got to talk about how good she is in this film, right? She is so creepy and scary. Like, how crazy she is by the stories and the way she looks, but like the way she speaks and the way she acts is fitting to the name, right? She never raises her voice. Her tone always comes across like soothing and stuff. Even when she's holding, a knife to this guy's stomach, she was great in this thing, man. It's creepy.
Yeah, it's a real memorable character. Like, let's be honest, man. Like, you don't question that she could keep these guys in line. The money keeps coming in, and that's what they needed, a business-minded person.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, you get these cool shots of the various gang factions like loading up to go to war with the judges because basically the lockdown's not going to end till their heads are on a platter for Mama. And you know, these guys try and figure out what to do while because they're trying to keep this guy in custody, but at the same time, that's not very practical when you are being attacked from all sides. So, you know,
don't
go ahead.
remember these breathers. What was going on?
There's
Oh.
Yeah, they
there's
gassed him.
Okay. I remember.
yeah, there's some gas grenades. I think they were their grenades, and they put the breathers on ahead of time, right? Because they knew they were getting ambushed, I think. So they chucked those out.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's one of those digital blood squibs I was telling
Oh.
you about. It doesn't look that good when you pause it.
It doesn't. When you said that earlier, I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, that looks really bad.
But also, it looks very comic-y, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like
It's just-
that's
was a
how it would
thing.
be on the page. So that's why I think this thing works so much. This, you know, even the bad stuff looks good for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a frame. It's 1/24th of a second. You're not looking at it like this normally, but it just stood out to me because sometimes you notice this stuff because like the focus is like a little too sharp on it or something, and you know what I mean. Like there's a couple drops there that should probably be a little blurrier or something, but it just stands out to you if you remember that time period where they were a little bit overused. Like I'm trying to remember the name. There was I think it was a movie called The Raid that came out around like 2009.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
used a ton of those like digital muzzle flashes, and like it's a fun movie, but like you just know those guns are not actually firing blanks most of the time because there's just like no recoil or anything. It's sort of that time period.
Kind of
But,
the same concept as the Raid too, right? This
Yeah.
movie, they're just going up to the apartment complex.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some influence going on there because that did pretty well, and it had an under control budget as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, you had some flashbangs, you know, just general gang warfare where they easily mop up like 20 of these guys. And just, you know, they look at this indoor
Just two of them
basketball
just
net.
walking into a room, lay down
You got
20
the-
bad guys.
You know, you get an idea, like, you know, there's no room on the street to have your recreational basketball court, so it's on the 80th floor someplace. You know, no sunlight to be found. Kids are playing in the concrete jungle there.
It's a selling point. Indoor gym.
Yeah. So, you know, we have this scene where I guess this guy's like a medical officer or something who's like stationed at the building, and he's
Yeah.
like, he doesn't even want to open the door to his safe room for the
Neutral
judges because
ground. You're not neutral. You're picking sides.
yeah.
I fucking love this movie.
We just finding out that basically Dean watches this movie like at least once a week, and it strongly informs his worldview. But yeah, man, this is. I mean, it's. I feel like it's interesting to me that he's like allowed to turn these guys away, like from a jurisdictional, like legal perspective.
Oh, I imagine that he's not. I bet if once all the shit hit the fan, I'm sure Dredd would have walked up there and handled it.
Right? Because he basically says he's more afraid of Mama than he is of the
Yeah.
judges.
You're obstructing justice by turning them away. So, yeah,
Right.
Mike.
Yeah,
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
They might have been able to defend that room if it's actually like bulletproof and whatnot. But they were going to send like 200 guys after them. So who knows? Maybe if it's like a 300 battle plane where you keep them at that one door and you can kill them all.
Right?
But,
Follow him through.
Yeah. But yeah, then they're sort of cruising looking for a place to hide out. And they break into this one apartment and they try to keep this lady silent. Our psychic realizes she already killed her husband, which is a cool scene.
Yeah.
Right? Which is the
Yeah.
whole reason she didn't yell for help, right? Because
Yeah.
she wanted to protect her husband, not knowing she just killed her in the other room.
Yeah, sorry, bitch.
Yeah, he's probably not coming back. Yeah, but I didn't screenshot it, but she just headshot the husband while he was on his knees, already disabled. It's pretty wild stuff. She didn't know he had a baby and like down the hall, but it might not have made a difference at that time anyway. So they get in
Yeah.
a service elevator, and I think they're I don't know if they're resolute to try and go straight for Mama at this point or not. This movie's a fever dream. It's on, by the way, it's on Tubi, so you can watch it for free. So you should probably do that if you haven't seen it, because it's a good time. But
And it's only like an hour and a half, right? So
yeah,
it is well worth your time.
Yeah,
yeah.
very concise.
Hey Trevor. Yeah, so I mean, I forget exactly what's going on here. The Mama's watching them on security cams, trying to ambush them. And
Yeah, Mama's trying to pinpoint where they're at
yeah.
because they moved with that service elevator. I think they were able to get to like the 56th floor.
Yeah, they were to get up there pretty high.
I think the medic said he was on the 8th floor. So they managed to move a ton of floors, and they're like, where the fuck are these people? So they tracked them down to this floor, and then they locked them in with the blast doors. And that's where this scene is.
All right, yeah, they lock down that hallway so they can't get in any stairwells or anything.
Right.
And this guy's trying to trip them out, saying that it's a no-win scenario.
Yeah, and they're like,
Yeah.
why? Or no, that's not this part yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they lock them into this room and then bring out the big guns.
Oh yeah, cool. So they're firing these like machine guns like across the open hallway, just lighting up this whole block. Basically, they're just mulching it. Does miniguns melt steel beams? That's the question. You know what I mean? So I guess the structural integrity of the building is still safe, even though she's like blowing up like entire walls.
An entire floor, yeah.
Yeah. So like, she can't even resist getting on the gun herself. There's, it's good stuff. It's just like abject chaos, and he gets like basically. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say all these people would be deaf, by the way.
Yeah, right.
You're in a concrete container shooting off. I don't know what kind of caliber those guns
Look how
are,
they're just mounted there outside.
Yeah.
Well, right. Dean, that's what happens when the effects boys get high on the supply of digital muzzle flashes. You just lose that realism that you get with the squibs and the blanks.
Yeah, that's what's my least favorite thing about movies is when people are using guns. They're just like, shooting all nonchalantly. It's like, no, you absolutely would be deaf by the end of this. If not severe hearing loss.
Yeah. Well, that's why the judges got their ears covered, probably.
Yeah, they wear the helmets. They're good.
Yeah. So I mean, it's cool. You see this whole hallway here just getting ripped up. This part I was confused why, and maybe they addressed it in a line and I missed it, but like, did they say why they don't just get an airlift off this level? Like they're outside.
I mean, not that specifically, but yeah, I guess they could have just called in for like a pickup, but they did call for backup when they were here, but.
And they're like, well, you're 6%, so we'll get to you when we get to you.
Right.
Yeah. So you get these mulched walls, and so he recollects our murder suspect.
Yeah, so at this point he's like, why are they trying to kill us so bad? Because really, this is just a goon.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like, okay, well, there's got to be a reason why they want us dead so badly.
Yeah.
So that's
why are
when
they so
start
worried about this one guy?
Yeah. And then Anderson is like, oh, I could just fucking mess with his head and figure it out. He doesn't have to tell us shit. So this is like where you really see her power step up.
Yeah, it's an interesting scene. So basically, it's like a wizard battle. It's like Gandalf versus Sauron here. They both imagine stuff to mess with each other.
My fucked up head versus your fucked up head.
Yeah.
Right.
Your fucked up head is going to lose.
Yeah. So, he encourages her to perform in some activity. And then, Yeah, and then she teleports Jaws down there,
Yeah.
and that freaks him out pretty good because he's heard that story, so he knows it's plausible that Mama could have assaulted him in that way. So yeah, that's a nice, good, traumatic, lucid dream scenario there,
Jay, she makes
and
him piss his pants.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That scene is so good.
yeah.
Bro, Anderson is such a babe, dude.
Yeah, this is really like I don't think anyone regards this movie badly, but like it's definitely like underpraised as far as I'm concerned. So I'm glad we're covering it. This was Dean's pick, by the way. It is a good freaking call, man. I needed to rewatch this, but yeah, they're still trying to pinpoint their location, I guess, because they survived the like hallway mulching.
Mulching.
Yeah. And yeah, we got a couple of kids to try and get the jump on Dredd here. Not a great idea. He manages to not murder them, which is impressive.
The old safety's on trick. A staple
Yeah.
in every gun standoff.
Yeah. Meanwhile, these kids definitely know where the safety is, living in Peachtree. But
Right.
I'm actually really surprised he didn't kill them because, I mean, they're pointing guns at him. And it's like, that's you know, attempted murder of a judge. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
they didn't pull the trigger, but like, still, like, when I think of Judge Dredd, he's not a very lenient guy. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
this is maybe where you get a little bit of the audience, the producer saying the audiences can't hate this guy. Like this is
Yeah, I
this is
guess
a
you're
movie
right.
in North America. We have
And for as
Go ahead.
aggressive as he is, he's very by the book, right? So if the whatever the charge would be for just pulling the gun on a police officer, if it's not death, he's not going to kill him, right?
Yeah.
And so
And
they're
I guess there's
already
probably
dragging the other guy around,
different laws for children, right? Like, they don't go to
right?
jail, they go to juvie. So, yeah, there's probably not a, like,
Right.
I don't
At one
know,
point, didn't he say something about whatever months in a juvie cube or
a
something like
juve
that to him?
cube. Yeah.
Yeah, juve cube. Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor says he loves about this film that Dredd never takes his helmet off.
That's
Yeah,
what
that's
I
a
was saying earlier.
Yep.
good move, man.
It's a
Yep.
perfect move.
Yeah, so our murder suspect, who I don't know if he even has a name, he takes this opportunity to slip away, grab a gun, and take her hostage and slip away. And
Bro, that's such a horrific scene. Because, like, they've been fucking essentially torturing this dude.
yeah,
And he manages to get the slip on him. He's like, oh, you're so fucked. And you're just
Yeah.
like, holy shit, she really is.
yeah. And if Mama weren't so pissed off at this guy, she probably really would have got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
for real.
yeah, but Mama's like, listen, I should kill you right now, but I've already lost too many goons today, so I need my pawns, all the available pawns
Yeah.
I can have. So she's like, I'd kill you myself, basically, but I already lost like 50 guys today, so yeah. But I think they sort of hatch a plan to like make it look like the goal is to make it look like the two judges were just shot and killed by generic gang violence. So so they start talking about how they're gonna leave the two bodies to make it just sort of look like some riffraff got in a scuffle with them to like sort of throw them off the Mama slow-mo trail. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So I think was it Dredd like taps into the PA somehow, or they allow him to access it so that they can then find out which
Yeah.
comm station he's using.
Yeah,
And
but he
And
outsmarts
then he
them.
pulls the old
Yeah.
switcheroo.
yeah, he put a cardboard standee of Judge Dredd in that booth, and
It's actually the corpse of some random guy.
Yeah.
yeah,
The
and they
Sly
just
Stallone version.
yeah, and they just blow it up completely, but he's like watching from somewhere else. Yeah, but so Now, we got this little subplot of these like what I didn't understand about this, like, were these guys real judges or were they like goons wearing like gear from?
No, they were real judges.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
they
so
were
these are
real. Yeah.
crooked judges who are been bought by Mama, who are showing up as quote unquote reinforcements here.
Yeah, they quickly make quick work of the doctor guy.
Yeah.
You willing to testify to that? Yes. Bam. Which he kind of deserved. Let's be honest. Poor
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he
at one
even
point,
says, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say the one point the main guy makes a comment that he knows Dredd, so that he knows what she's up against, which is why the price is so high.
Right. And I mean, I think the doctor even says like they're probably both dead by now at this point, and that's partially his fault if it's true, anyways. So,
Yeah, right.
so, but yeah, they don't really play the audience with these guys. Like it's made clear very immediately that they're working for Mama here, and they start trying to hunt down Dredd in the hallways. And you get some cool judge versus judge action. But what I found tough about this was like when you have this really backlit, contrasty lighting, like I can't tell these guys apart, man. Karl Urban looks like these guys. I didn't know what was going on for a little bit of this scene, but it's a small complaint in an otherwise joyous experience. You lose them a little bit though during those sequences. And then yeah, you got a little bit of an interrogation scene here. They're building up to that for a while. You really believe she's pretty screwed because like she's been putting this guy through it, man, and gave him a lucid dream of his wang being bit off. So
Right. And
he's
so
pretty pissed
why
off.
doesn't she just do that to him at any point? Did I miss something in that? Like sitting here right now, why didn't she just go into
Go in his mind
his
again.
mind?
I don't know
Yeah,
how that works. I don't know what the laws
Yeah.
are of.
a plot hole.
Yeah, there you go. She has the force. Why doesn't she just get up?
Yeah.
What's going on? But yeah, but Mama doesn't want him to mess with her too bad. She just wants her to be found shot dead somewhere.
I think she has to touch them in order to,
Okay.
because in
Yeah.
both
No, because
the
that scene in the
previous
hallway,
scene-
she reads the mind of the lady inside. That's how she gets him to open the door. Of the lady that she killed her husband.
yeah, that's
They're
true.
standing in the hallway and she like gets into her mind and like tells her to open the door or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
maybe
it's a plot hole.
proximity thing.
Yeah,
Because
I
the
don't
scene
know.
where she makes him piss himself, she's like right up on him.
Right there.
Then the
yeah.
scene with the dude with the eyes, the techie, she's right up on him as well.
Yeah.
And then in that scene, they're both on either side of the door. So I don't know. But
Yeah.
I'm surprised that he fell for the gun thing where he used her gun against her. Because it's like established
hand
lore
off.
that the gun will explode if the wrong person touches it. And it's like, how did he not know that? Like, all
He's
the
just-
stuff
just
about
some
judges.
junkie.
I guess, but it's like,
He's like the number one junkie though. Like he's her right hand
Junkie
man
number
basically.
one.
because
Yeah.
like in the Sylvester Stallone version, remember his twin brother goes to buy the gun, and he's like, "Oh, you can't use it if you're not a judge," and then it works, and the guy's like, "Holy shit!" and he kills him with it. Because I feel like that's
I don't remember, but I believe you.
yeah.
Hey,
But
hey,
I
John.
love that inclusion of that in this movie. It's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
for
like
sure.
nobody but judges can use it.
Yeah, maybe that was just that was invented the week before, so he didn't know about that yet. But
Yeah, it's new tech.
yeah.
Either
But,
way,
like-
I loved watching it.
Yeah, it blows up in his hands and it's really graphic, and I didn't screenshot it because you guys got to watch this movie. It's like I said, it's free on Tubi. Like I don't want to show you the whole thing, but he
It's
gets
really-
graphically killed.
Well, yeah. So his hand explodes, and then she like kicks his head off, essentially. And then the next scene you see, she's totally free. It's like, weren't you just bound? What happened to your wrist? She was. She had
Psychic
like
powers.
handcuffs on or something. And she's like
Psychic
free
powers.
the next scene.
Yeah. So here we got to look at the slow-mo lab, the Breaking Bad lab here, and you get some corrupt judges chasing down Karl Urban, having a
You know
shootout in
what?
the slow-mo lab.
You know how like with you with the blood effects, right? There's always these random things that just bother me for some reason. This is the heart of her operation. She's only got 2 dudes down there guarding this thing when Dredd walks in. Like, send more people to protect the product. What are you doing? Just those 2 dudes are the only people there. Come on.
Yeah, and they're not.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I imagine they're A, protecting her, and B, she probably didn't think they were gonna get this far. You know what I mean?
Got to protect the product.
It's like
Drug
it's
dealer
weird
101, Dean.
Yeah.
it's weird they're not messing up like the electrical grid in the building. It's like those guys who are like rigging up like 50 PS5s to mine Bitcoin in apartment buildings during the pandemic. It's like, what's going on with the electrical drawing here,
The
man?
lights keep dimming.
Yeah. So they have this your lab shootout where you have vials smashing and smoke, and it's visually distinct from the rest of the movie. It's pretty good. You can't figure out who is Karl Urban and who is not.
I think that might be just a you thing. Dude,
I guess it says Dredd on him. Yeah.
One of my favorite movie quotes of all time is in this scene where he's like, "The city's a fucking meat grinder. People go in, meat comes out." It's like, it's so funny. They picked like the perfect dude for that role because his mouth is very like emotive, where it's
Yeah.
like they're all in helmets, so like you get everything you need to know about this dude from his his face, and it's so good. I love this guy.
Yeah,
he's
like,
such a
he's
piece
just-
of shit, but I love him.
Like his mind wasn't prepared to witness the depths of human depravity in Mega City 1 over 20 years, so he just he's just over it. He doesn't care anymore. He's like Cypher in the Matrix, like he's ready to give up. But
Yeah.
that's great when he's like, Judge Dredd just tells him to wait, and he's like, "You're telling me to wait?" The number one judge.
Dredd, the Judge Dredd, finally gets at the wrong end of a gun, and what he says is, "Wait." Wait for what? Wait for me to change my mind?
So good.
Yeah, and this guy fancies himself Shakespeare, and because of that, he's killed just as intended, shot in the back, because he felt like monologuing and indulging Judge Dredd in his request to wait. But
That scene is so good. I love this fucking
Yeah.
movie's so good.
yeah, and here we have Admiral Hux getting held at gunpoint as God intended, and yeah. So I mean, I guess that's the part
If
where you're
she
saying
didn't let him go, we would have never had a General Hux. So she's to blame for all your Star Wars problems.
Oh yeah, he got off world and joined the Empire.
yeah, grew a
Career
spine.
change.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's you have we're getting near the end here. There's Mama has like a last little hallway of goons before her private quarters, and I don't know what is it a techie that tells them that she's got this this detonator like wired up to her heartbeat.
No, so
No,
he
she
just
doesn't.
tells them the room code,
Yeah.
Okay.
and they shoot a handful of guys to get in there, and she's like,
Okay.
"Don't kill me, because I got this fucking thing on my wrist, and it'll blow us all up."
Right. So like
Right.
there
Only the top 50 stories.
well, that's all it takes. The weight of all that will take down the rest. But so yeah, I mean, basically, so her heart, basically, the what she says is that her heart has to be beating, otherwise this explosive goes off. So I don't know. I guess like worst case, she's gonna end up incarcerated outside of the building, and it still isn't gonna blow up. So like they could probably remove whatever that device is in a clinical facility, you'd think. So maybe she's just making sure she doesn't get shot because the jig is up at this point.
Right.
But But yeah, Judge Dredd shoots her. So in a non in a non
Immediately.
Right? Despite all that, he says fuck it and shoots her.
All right, bet.
yeah in a non-lethal way immediately. And he was particularly incensed at the notion that she would give these guys slow-mo and then throw them off the idiot floor. So he finds it poetic justice that she should experience the same thing. And I think his theory is that the ground level is so far thick through all this concrete and lockdown doors that the transmitter's probably not going to trigger because they'll be out of range at that point. Which is
Right.
I mean you're taking a chance. But yeah, so he chucks her out a window and she falls for what seems like 10 minutes.
But actually, Chris, she told him that it would only reach 50 floors, and he
Yeah.
knows that they're on the 80th floor.
Okay.
So he did the math.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. Well, I mean, he's taking her word on the range as well. But
Wow. If you can't
yeah.
trust the drug lord.
Yeah. So we have this awesome falling sequence, which I got like 5 screenshots of.
It's so good.
That's an awesome scene. Again, the
Yeah.
music, the cinematography, the camera angles,
Yeah.
all the little shards of glass, and then whenever there's slow mo, it's almost like
You got like rainbows on the lighting highlights. Yeah.
it's very iridescent. Everything is very beautiful. This
Yeah.
scene kicks ass.
Yeah, so I think I spared you the actual impact. Like I said, watch the movie. We're not trying to dissuade people from watching the movie. Just the opposite. So
More people need to watch this movie.
yeah,
This
exactly.
should be required viewing.
I want a sequel with like 55-year-old Karl Urban. But
Yeah, dude.
yeah, but
Not much different than Billy Butcher, right?
exactly.
It's had the same attitude.
Oh, yeah.
And look at this though. Like he does the cartoon frown like so much in
It's so
in the
good.
movie. It's like what's like it's like almost comedic the expression he's doing half the time, and it's just like yeah, you know how much more energy that takes than a neutral face. It's just like he's going out of his way to frown like that just to look how the cartoon does, the drawing does. But yeah, so the lockdown opens up after Mama dies down there, and a few real judges show up. And Cassandra says she's not cut out for this.
Well, she assumes that she's failed
Yeah.
because, for all intents and purposes, she did. Her
I
gun
mean-
got taken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a unique circumstance. So the chief or whoever comes around and asks him for the evaluation, and he gives her a passing grade, presumably just because she survived the day.
How great would it be if he just said that she failed? Like he's that by the rules. Like she failed.
That'd be hilarious, dude.
I think that's another one of those things where like that would be comic accurate, but like they realize they're making a movie for general audiences to some degree
Yeah.
here. It's kind of like him shooting the kids. It's like we need to have a somewhat human story structure here.
Yeah. Well, because I totally lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
Why does he
whether
pass her?
it would be more accurate to fail her, yeah. I don't know, but
I don't know. I'll try and come back to it.
because you'd think those rules are, I mean, those like the passing criteria is outlined pretty clearly at the beginning, like straight up if you lose your gun, instant fail, and a few other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when you're watching this movie, you're like, holy shit, this is like worst case scenario. The chief at the beginning is like, oh, check her in the deep end.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's all the deep end. And then you watch this, you're like, this has to be worst case scenario. And then
Just
when the
another
chief,
Tuesday, man.
yeah, when the chief shows up, she's like, what happened? He's like, drug bust.
Yeah,
It's like,
right.
this is a normal day. It's like crazy when he
Yeah.
tells her, like, oh yeah, it's just, it's not like he was like, oh man, this went fucking sideways and she survived. So she's a pass. It was like drug bust. I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
He's not much of a talker, really. He's over it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to have an ice bath and a cigar and then start all over again. But
Yeah, with his helmet on.
yeah, so you got a sweet shot of him riding away on his space motorcycle, and that's the end of the movie. So yeah, that was a
so good.
that was a pretty good time. It makes me want to track down some physical media of this because I couldn't find a lot of behind the scenes stuff when I had a look, and there's a few shots kicking around of like the guys shooting in the judge costumes hanging out by a grip truck, and get a little look at some of the camera rigs here. But there wasn't a whole lot. I'm sure there's some cool bonus features if you have a physical copy.
Yeah, there's a I have it. Like it's so obviously Dean picked it, and Chris, when you
Yeah.
asked, hey, you want to join? If you've ever seen the movie, and I'm like, seen it. I was there opening weekend. I have the Blu-ray. Like I've
Yeah.
watched all the featurettes on the thing. So yeah,
I
there's some cool
did.
stuff on there about the comic book and how they made the movie, like some of the cameras and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
I did not watch this in theaters, and I regret it every single day.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was 3D. It had to, right? I mean, they said everything was in 3D at that point. So when you knew
Yeah.
you were getting a bloody comic book adaptation, I was going in 3D.
You know what though? If you look at that camera rig on the left there, it does look like they actually filmed it in 3D because first of all, you see this super wide matte box, and then the
Yeah.
other giveaway is like you can see there, which they don't do this a lot anymore, but you can see one of the cameras is vertically mounted there, which is they do that because if they mount them side by side, they started doing this on The Hobbit when they filmed it. If you mount them side by side, you can't actually get them close enough together because it's just the bulk of the camera bodies. So they literally vertically mount one at 90 degrees there. You can see it just inside that ring aiming
Yeah.
down, and that they put like a little mirror in the middle so that it basically gets it like human eye distance apart because the cameras are too big to do that by like actually mounting them left and right side by side. Pretty crazy. You don't see it happen
Yeah.
a lot these days.
Yeah. Like I said, they talked about it in one of the features on the Blu-ray. They definitely they shot it, and then like I commented earlier, they had to do some of it in post because a lot of the stuff was with the muzzle flashes and things like that. But they showed that they would shoot like there's this one shot against that guy's bare chest or whatever. They actually shot the guy in 3D with compressed air, so the body moving and stuff is all real. Then they just had to come in and add the muzzle flash, the blood effects, all that stuff.
Okay.
After.
Cool.
But,
Well,
yeah,
it
it's
makes
pretty
me
cool.
want to. It makes me want to like chase down like a used 3D TV and find a 3D Blu-ray of this because like there's no other way you're gonna see it the way they filmed it. But
Yeah.
but yeah, man. So we're gonna we're gonna have a pointless our pointless section here where we give our final verdict. I give this movie 4 Men of Culture out of 5 just because I would have liked to see a little more of the city, but I can't knock it much. It's a budgetary complaint. Dean, what do you give this movie out of 5 Men of
I'm
Culture?
giving a 5, dude.
Oh my God. Look at that chart fill up there. All right. So this is basically like the Rotten Tomatoes scores. Like, we just got nothing bad to say. I didn't know that Mike was joining us till today, so I didn't add him on here. But what do you give the movie out of 5, Mike?
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I mean, it'd probably be like a 4.5 out of
Nice.
5 for me. It's kind of the same thing. Mega City 1 was a big deal in the comics. We get budgetary wise, but it's a shame you couldn't see more of that out the bigger world.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like it was more of a character in this movie than the Sylvester Stallone one. Cause like in the Sylvester Stallone movie, they go to like the Cursed Earth, and then when they go back to Mega City 1, it's more just like him and his brother. But in this movie, I guess Peachtrees represents Mega City, but it's
Yeah.
like it acts as a character all on its own, and I really like that about this movie.
Yeah, and you can sort of see like they put that street chase at the beginning probably so like it sort of opens the audience's mind that anything could happen in this movie around the city because they're not tipping their hand that the rest of the movie takes place in Peachtree basically because it sort of starts with that street chase. It's a good way to structure it so that the audience doesn't sort of feel like the scope is limited basically because you get a sense of the city ahead of time. But yeah, man, it's a good freaking time. It's Trevor gives it a 5 out of 5. It says I rewatch this so often.
Me too.
Hell yeah. And there was I don't really know the stories, but if you look into any of this, it's pretty well known that the guy credited as the director of the film didn't direct the film. That the writer, drawing a blank on his name now, basically took over the whole thing
Wow,
during
so it's like Rogue
shooting
One.
and writing. Yeah, and he locked the other guy out of the editing bay and stuff. Like
Oh
it was
wow.
pretty brutal behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, I don't like I said I don't know if any official reason has come out yet, but I know Karl Urban has commented on it. To kind of back the story and stuff, and
Yeah.
so yeah,
Well, sometimes directors are this sort of predates this tactic, but sometimes directors these days are sort of cast rather than chosen for
Yeah.
their affinity for the franchise. They're more chosen for like the press circuit usefulness on to some degree, but this sort of predates that, like I said. So this is basically it's the last American film in history you should watch. Pretty much, you should go earlier than this for the rest of them, but. Yeah. So we're gonna talk a little bit. Uh, Peachtree. I thought it was Trump Tower. I don't know if that's the same thing. I don't think. I don't think. Defed. I don't know if that's comparable. But
Yeah, you could
this
probably
movie
fit
is the
Trump
law.
Tower in that. In Peachtree.
In the center, in the center column there. Yeah, Sam just gives it a 5 out of 5 too. We're gonna talk a little bit about some collectibles associated with this movie. I had a look and couldn't find much, and then Dean helped me out a little bit. It looks like Mike was aware of the same stuff, but this steelbook looks awesome. It's not doesn't have the 3D copy, I guess. I guess this is I think the picture I got is the Japanese version, but that's pretty sweet. I might look for the 3D Blu-ray just to have it in case I stumble upon a 3D TV if they ever decide to resell those, because I think the odd time you'll still get a 3D Blu-ray coming out. Like I'm sure Avatar: Way of Water had a 3D Blu-ray released. It must have. Just James Cameron wouldn't allow it to be any other way. But
you would assume, yeah.
yeah, like I mean, maybe it was it probably just was one of like 5 discs in the set. But so you got everything you need in one 4K release probably. But yeah, man, I feel mildly obligated to find some tasteful form of physical media of this movie. It's awesome packaging art on that box set. But I was looking. Dean mentioned to me there was figures, and I looked. I was Googling for figures and couldn't find anything, and that's because none of them are labeled correctly associated with the movie because they are all bootlegs.
Yeah.
So what do we got here, Dean?
Yeah, so this is the artistic interpretation. I forget the name of the actual company. I think it's right there on the. It's so small. Art toys
Oh, yeah.
or art figures.
Yeah, it's like those other bootleg companies. Like they change their name every 6 months. What can you do?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's Dredd, Anderson, and then I don't remember what he's late. I think like Heavy Gunner or something like that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of
But-
character names outside of those two in the movie. Yeah.
He's the second one in the drug or the where they're in the where all the drugs are kept. Not the meat
Okay.
grinder guy, but the guy he's with, and he shoots him like through a barrel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so like these look pretty cool. You said, and here's another Cassandra from a different company, right?
Yeah, this one's VTS toys or virtual
Okay.
toys.
Also a
new
bootleg.
Yeah, also third party, new Epoch
Yeah.
Cop. I like this one a little bit more.
Yeah, that face sculpt isn't bad.
It's not the worst. I have both figures actually.
Yeah.
Or do you have a
that's-
picture of mine?
Yeah, I thought I did, but I don't. Yeah. So, yeah, Dean has one of each of these because he
so I-
thinks
Wow.
this is better. Anderson.
Yeah, I have the Dread.
Oh yeah, I can't
Wow.
make you.
I
You got the wheel. Yep.
Oh,
Wrong guy.
yeah. What the hell? Don't know how to do this.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I think I have to do this and then this. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. So there's the Dread.
God damn, that
Look at
looks
that.
good.
He's doing the frown.
It's
Wouldn't you like to have that?
It's a little old. You can see it's.
I was saying, I assume that's head to toe pleather.
Yeah.
Right.
There are some parts of it, like right here in front of the knees. That's cloth.
Okay.
That's pleather. Some in between the arms is cloth.
Dav
yeah.
Fett says, "Wait for
Wait for
Inart.
Inart.
It's never gonna happen, buddy. Don't even. You might as well buy this one off Dean so he can get a fresh one because you're
Damn,
never
that
gonna
looks
get a
good.
better price."
Yeah. So there's the Dredd, and then the eagle. It's
Yeah.
got that weird cut. Mine's always had that. I think it's supposed to be there.
Probably because it would have split or
thing?
not or been articulated without that.
Yeah, maybe. And then he's got like his I think it's like a grenade or something, and then the
Yeah, maybe that's the smoke bombs they use or something.
extra guns or his
Yeah.
clips. He's got zip tie handcuffs, his little med kit, which is cool, and then his gun, which actually
Looks
has,
good.
like, little blue on it. Yeah, I love this figure. It took me a long time to track him down because he was super hard to find. Because of course I didn't know it existed until after I saw the movie.
Yeah, I didn't know until right now.
Sam just says I would not buy a 3D movie in hope of finding a 3D TV. I feel like that's a long, disappointing road. Be honest with yourself, dude. How much is the 3D Blu-ray going to cost me? $30. At least I'll have it in my back pocket if the TV comes up.
So see, she has the same split there on the
Yeah,
on the eagle, but it's
but not on the other side. That's weird.
Anderson, right?
Well, they're different shoulder pads, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got the same little puck thing there. She's got the med pick, the gun.
Okay, so those are different companies, you said, right?
Yeah, this one is the BTS. That's the Art Toys.
Can you tell if any of the parts are the same? Like the parts that are the same on both? Like, is it the same mold? Can you tell?
No.
Just
only
curious.
because I mean, look at the size difference.
No, I just mean like the little grenade or something. If it's the exact same.
Oh, that's true. Those are painted different, but
Yeah.
The med packs
no,
are
that's
different.
a different sculpt.
Wow. So they're even these bootleg guys are starting from scratch. They're not recasting or anything.
His little thing is like 3-dimensional, the little green thing, and then
Okay.
hers is like it's just flat.
Yeah, it's flat.
Okay.
Yeah, even like the belt buckle is totally different.
Well, they still look pretty good side by side. Like one doesn't look drastically worse than the other.
Right. Yeah, I love this figure so much. It's not like
Yeah.
the greatest likeness
Take
in
the
the
helmet
world,
off.
but I actually okay. So it's really funny. You can take the helmet off, but he doesn't have hair. He just has like a peg to hold the helmet in.
That's creepy.
And mine was always falling off, so I super glued mine because he never takes the helmet off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is like a full face sculpt of Karl Urban. There's just no hair.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all there is. And like, I don't even know, like they're kind of tough to Google these figures really, but
They're tough to find.
yeah.
Not stupidly priced anyway.
Right.
I think I was looking at the Epoch Cop Anderson, and she was like $400. I was like, God damn, not worth $400. Not even close.
Oh, like current eBay prices, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sure if you looked hard enough, you could probably find something a little better. But
All right, man. Well, yeah, I mean that's pretty much our show. If you Dean, if you want to roll the slides back, I'll get our Patreon read going here. But yeah, man. That was a good
yeah,
good
sorry.
freaking time.
Such a fun movie.
there we go.
Yeah, and like I've been saying, it's on Tubi. You got no excuses. You can watch a good quality version of it for free on a browser, on your Xbox, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, I watched it on Amazon for free.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in Tubi, you don't. When I watched it, Tubi, you don't even have to log in. I just pulled up a browser tab and it's streaming in HD for free on my computer. It's
Were
like
there commercials?
I was just
not
gonna say.
not on Brave browser, but yeah, but yeah, which I just learned when I watched it that Brave browser busts Tubi commercials. So
Nice.
word to the wise. But yeah, man. So here's our lovely Patreonies here. We got Captain Fordo, Ian CB, Renee Mendez.
Stick it in.
Oh, there it
Jesus.
is. That's Dean's phone, everybody.
Charging-
That's
Yeah,
we talk about
sorry.
men of culture. Yeah. But Renee Mendez, Eric Mariscal, Quinn Aguirre, King Louis, Mark Pearson, Paul Schreiber, Equan, Chris Valencerina, Ben Thomas, David Jones, Sam Gist, Joao Bretta, Thomas Clark, Get Well Soon Buddy, Eric Schweitzer, Six Guns Figs, Badfish, Joe Corpus, Luke Skywalker, Dan Lee, Deanie Martin, Big Fern, Caesar American, Mark Phillips, Lisa Martin Bomonsky, Rick DeGregorio, Ricardo Valdez, Jose CZ, Alid Morgan, Tukathri Wah. Dean, have you ever said Derek's last name correctly? Because I don't know. I have a blue screen of death every time I try and read it.
I always say it's Derek B.
Okay,
I
yeah,
always say
Derek.
B. I don't.
I get
don't
about
wanna
halfway.
mispronounce it.
Yeah. Maybe he'll chime in someday and tell us. Write it phonetically for us. Derek B, Arias Portillo, Alvin J, Mario Delgado, Aurelius Delgado, Toy Cartel, Sith Scale Collector, who's kind enough to join us tonight, and Jared Gagne, Alberto Cortez, Big Rib, Trevor Weed, Matt Clevenger, Don Matan, Stephen Percha, Sean Yotzi, Scott Bradley, Steve and Maria Stanley, Eddie Manzanares, Louis Bennett, Chip Perrin, Exodus, Abe Dunk TV, and Gigi the Judgmental. Thanks so much for your support, guys. If you want to join Patreon, here's the tiers right here. You got for the hot seat for $5 a month, which gets you access to a massive back catalog of After Dark episodes, which are still live every Wednesday, and you can catch them live. But if you don't want to stay up real late on a Wednesday and you want to be able to watch After Dark on demand, you're gonna join on the hot seat tier. And then one above that, you start getting some physical benefits where you get stickers mailed out every 2 months, right, Dean?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the active benefits of the certified crispy and the What a Guy are. I know with the What a Guy, there's still pog sets, right?
Yeah, I think there's a few left. Zach is the keeper of all that stuff, so he knows
Okay,
better
so
than I do.
yeah, so if you want exclusive CW pog set, you should check out the What a Guy tier. I don't know if you have to subscribe for a couple months before they mail you out cool stuff, but that I would do that if I were them. But yeah, so here's the current. If you were already at least on the second tier, you would have got these two stickers. Oh yeah, there's Dean's got the pog set there. That looks pretty sweet, unpunched. But
Unpunched.
yeah, man. So if you were already subscribed for on the second tier, you would get the Joker, the Ox Joker sticker, and the Dark Timeline sticker. And the Dark Timeline is where we live, and it's where everything after Judge Dredd, Dredd 2012 came out. So that's why it's good, because it came out before the Dark Timeline started. And I'm so glad that sticker made the cut. That's good stuff. And yeah, man. So here we got our YouTube channel members: Absolute Irwin, Alvin J, Andrew Gibo, Benjamin Hansen, Big Ol' Fern, Bob Dylan, CC3PO, Chris V, CT603, DJ, Daminator, Doc Smizzle, Equan, Fat Batman, Gare Bear, Good Old Spotchka, Gotham Cenobites, Justin Sports Card, LV Avenger 702, Mark Pearson, Mike Litteris, Money Mendez, OG Fan, OMFG Rick, 1/6 Figure Focus, Paul Schreiber, Philip the Fool, S Beam, Sam Gist, Scarn Lord, SpongeBob SquareBalls, Sunnyvale Russ, The Ben Thomas Show, Toy Mafia, and Exodus. Thanks so much, guys. And if you want to join the YouTube channel members, I think if you're already a Patreon, you get a discounted rate on that. I think it's like 99 cents if you're already a Patreon. It's pretty. It's you get some. What do you call those? Not you get like exclusive icons you can post in the chat, right? Like what do you call those things? Dean?
Emojis.
I thought it had like a more YouTube related word, but yeah. So and then here's the other shows on the network. You got the main show, Collecting Weekly Live, where with Dean, Zach, and often mic these days, and you're going to talk about all your 1/6 news on that. Great episode this week, guys. Check that out if you missed it. And yeah, man, After Dark, which was on last night, and you might still be able to catch it on YouTube, but I would act soon. And if you're not a Patreon, Mind Flayer's Web, that's over for now, right, guys?
Yeah, we finished Baldur's Gate. We're still looking into what we're gonna play next. So
Cool. So yeah, there'll be back to some kind of role playing game at some point, and then small talk. Go
I
ahead.
think Saturdays we're doing Pokemon cards for now.
Okay, cool.
We're
I don't
just
know how
opening
you're setting
packs.
that up, but that's interesting. Okay. Oh, you're like opening packs. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got small talk every other Thursday, where we do a lot of 112 news and reviews, and then just another Friday night where Chuck and Double A talk about they do a lot of modern entertainment reviews, like current TV shows and stuff. It's a good time. You can catch that tomorrow night probably. And that's about it. And I don't know what movie we're doing on our next episode of CW Movie Night. It kind of depends if Thomas comes back or if we have another passionate guest host like Dean today, where he suggested a movie that he wanted to talk about. So we'll see how it goes for next episode. But that's about it.
All right.
Any parting words, guys?
No, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for letting me pick the movie. Mike, thank you for joining us, talking about this amazing film, and it needs to be preserved. I feel like they should put it on a satellite and send it into space so people can see it in the future.
So after all of humanity is dead, when the aliens roll by and see our graveyard world, they can at least watch Dredd 2012.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's it for me.
All right. Well, if you missed our last episode, I did skip a week. I had a lot going on here, but I'm real proud of the chat we had about Rock and Rule. I had one of the film's animators on, Brian LeMay. Please check that out if you haven't seen it yet.
That was a really cool episode. That was fun.
Yeah, I would love to get some more filmmakers on this as interviews before we wrap it up. But it's tough. I don't know if you watched that. He pulled an Oscar off the shelf beside him during that while he's on camera. I'm like, damn, I didn't even know you had
flex.
that.
That's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, exactly. But it just goes to show you there's all kinds of, and I mean he got an Oscar back when it meant something too. But anyway, it wasn't in the last 20 years or since the timeline split. But
it was pre-2012.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, no, definitely. If you missed that, check it out. But yeah, that's it, Dean. So you can fire off on our closing clip there when you're ready. Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Love you.